Now we're going to study the multiplication property of equality. First thing I want you to remember is that multiplication and division are inverse operations. That means they are opposites. If you need to get rid of or undo multiplication, you can divide. And if you need to get rid of division, you can multiply. So the multiplication property says that if I have two things that are equal, and I multiply by the same thing on both sides, I still have an equal statement. And the same thing is true for division. If I have A equals B and I divide on both sides by the same thing, as long as C is not 0, then I have equal statements. I haven't changed the integrity of my equation. So let's look at our first example. We have 2x equals 6. Okay, so 2 is being multiplied by x. This is really 2 times x. There's really a dot right here. It doesn't have to be there. So we have 2 times x is equal to 6. To get rid of this multiplication or to make it cancel, we would divide by 2. So we're going to divide by 2 on the left side to make that cancel and leave x, but we also have to divide by 2 on the right side. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And we simply plug it in to check it. 2x equals 6. Where there's an x, I would replace with 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and that does in fact equal the other side. So now let's try this one. This is one with decimals. We have x divided by 0.2, and that's equal to 3. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 0.2 on each side. When we multiply this guy out, they cancel, leaving just x, which is what we wanted. When we multiply the right side, 3 times 0.2, we get 0.6. X is equal to 0.6, and we would plug that back in and divide to make sure that we check that. Okay, our next example, make sure I've got everything here, is 2/3 x equals 8. Now here I want you to notice that we have two things happening here. We have 2 that is being multiplied by the x, but it's also being divided by the 3. So this is what we really have. We have 2 times x in the numerator, and we have the 3 in the denominator. Now we can do this separately. We can get rid of each part separately, and I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing I would do is get rid of this 3 by multiplying by 3 on both sides. So when I multiply by 3 here, it makes those cancel, leaving 2x behind. When I multiply by 3 here, we get 24. Okay, so now I have 2x equals 24, and then I simply divide by 2 on each side to make this 2 cancel, leaving x behind. So my 2's cancel, and on this side, 24 divided by 2 is 12. I would plug that back in to make sure that it works. Okay, there is a simpler way to do this, where you can do these things in a single step rather than in 2 separate steps. So you can see how much less room it took up on my paper here. So I have 2/3 x equals 8. And what I can do is multiply by the reciprocal of this fraction. The reciprocal means just flip it over. So I had 2 over 3. Now I'm going to multiply by 3 over 2. And I have to do that on both sides. When I do that, my 2's cancel, my 3's cancel, and I just have x left. Over here, I can multiply 8 times 3 and get 24. And divide by 2, which would give me 12. I could also, at this step, cancel my 2 here with a 2 here, leaving 4, and 4 times 3 is 12. Hopefully you catch it here, but if you don't, you can always simplify from there. Okay, got another example, and this one has a mixed number. We have 3 1/3 x is equal to 10. Well, the first thing you should do is turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. So remember how to do that. We multiply the bottom number by the 3 on the outside, and then add the 1, and that gives us the top of our fraction, and then pull this down as our denominator. So we have 10/3 x is equal to 10. So if we take our shortcut like we did up here, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 10/3 and get 3/10. 3/10 multiplied on both sides leaves us with an x here. Here we get 30/10, which equals 3. All right, and our last example here is negative 2/3 x equals 12. To get rid of this negative 2/3, because we want only x left behind down here, we're going to multiply by a negative reciprocal of 2/3, which would be 3/2 on both sides. So that makes everything cancel. A negative times a negative is a positive. 3's cancel, 2's cancel, leaving x. Here, I'm going to have a negative 36 divided by 2, which would give me a negative 18. And we can plug that in to check and make sure that it works.